Now the second method, which is the graphical method. Take a look at this triangle. And here is the angle x. So cosine x is 1 over 5. And according to the definition of cosine is equal to the adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. Okay, so 1 is equal to the adjacent side and 5 is equal to the hypotenuse 5. So according to the Pythagorean theorem, we have 5 squared is equal to 1 squared plus, if we call this side y, so 5 squared is equal to 1 squared plus y squared. So y squared is equal to 24. So y is equal the square root of 24. So here is 24. Okay, so according to the definition of sine x is equal to the opposite side divided by hypotenuse. So the opposite side is equal to the square root of 24 divided by hypotenuse 5. The square root of 24 divided by 5, and we know that x is in the fourth quadrant and the sign of sine is in the fourth quadrant and negative. So sine x is negative. The square root of 24 divided by 5. And according to the definition of tangent x is equal the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. The opposite side is equal the square root of 24 divided by the adjacent side is 1. So tangent x is equal to the square root of 24. Okay, and we know that sine of the tangent is in the fourth quadrant negative. So tangent x is negative the square root of 24. And finally, according to the definition of cotangent x is equal the adjacent side divided by the opposite side. The adjacent side is 1 divided by the opposite side is the square root of 24, and the sign of cotangent in the fourth quadrant is negative. Okay, and let me give you another example. For example, if tangent x is equal to, and we know that x is in the third quadrant, what is the value of sine x, cosine x, and cotangent x? We know that x is in the third quadrant and the sign of sine is equal minus, and the sign of cosine is minus, and the sign of cotangent in the third quadrant is positive. Okay, so first I'll solve this problem using the formula based method. We know that 1 plus tangent squared x is equal 1 divided by cosine squared x. Okay, do you remember this formula? Okay, 1 plus tangent squared x is equal 1 over cosine squared x. So 1 plus tangent squared is equal 4 is equal 1 over cosine squared x. So 1 over cosine squared x is equal 5. So cosine squared x is equal 1 over 5. So cosine x is equal the square root of 1 over 5 or 1 over the square root of 5. So if we rationalize this fraction, we have the square root of 5 divided by 5. So cosine x is equal negative the square root of 5 divided by 5. So sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal 1. So sine squared x is equal 1 minus cosine squared. Cosine squared is equal 1 over 5. So sine squared x is equal 1 minus 1 over 5 is equal 4 over 5. So sine x is equal the square root of 4 over 5, and we know that the square root of 4 is equal 2 divided by the square root of 5. And if rationalize this fraction, we have 2 times the square root of 5 divided by 5. And now sine x is equal minus 2 times the square root of 5 divided by 5. And finally, cotangent x is the reciprocal of tangent, and so cotangent x is equal 1/2. Now second method, which is the graphical method. Take a look at this right triangle, and if here is the angle x, so tangent x is equal to, it means tangent x is equal to over 1. Okay, so according to the definition of tangent x is equal the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So the opposite side is 2 and the adjacent side is 1. So according to the Pythagorean theorem, we have, if we call this side y, so y squared is equal 2 squared plus 1 squared is equal 5. So y is equal the square root of 5. So here, or the hypotenuse is the square root of 5. So according to the definition of sine x is equal the opposite side divided by hypotenuse is equal to over the square root of 5, or if rationalize this fraction is equal to the square root of 5 divided by 5. Sine x is equal to the square root of 5 divided by 5. And we know that x is in the third quadrant and the sign of sine is negative. Okay, and according to the definition of cosine x is equal the adjacent side divided by hypotenuse, and the adjacent side is equal 1 divided by hypotenuse, the square root of 5, or the square root of 5 divided by 5. We rationalize this fraction and the square root of 5 divided by 5, and we know that x is in the third quadrant and the sign of cosine is negative. And finally, cotangent x is equal the adjacent side divided by the opposite side. So the adjacent side is equal 1 divided by the opposite side is equal 2. And we know that x is in the third quadrant and the sign of cotangent is positive. Okay?